Good morning. I hope everything is okay out there in your life and that we are on live from Unity of Lexington. I am Reverend Michael Brooks and I am out here in Tacoma, Washington, and I'm excited and honored to be here with you today. I'm hoping that you can all see and hear me. If you can hear me, that's a great thing. If you can see me, that's kind of a little bit either or. So, um, while your Reverend Carol is out exploring some life things and maybe getting some rest and taking a little sabbatical, I'm going to fill in for her for the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll get to know each other a little bit and enjoy each other's company. I'd like to start with a little bit of a prayerful meditation. So if you wouldn't mind finding a nice, soft place to land, taking a few deep breaths, and we can take it from there. So listen to the sound of the singing bowl as we open our hearts and our minds. Each Sunday morning we come to a prayerful place, a place where we expand our consciousness. We open our minds and our hearts. And we allow the new information that we might receive to be channeled through us. We allow our voices to be heard and our thoughts to be held. And we relax. We let go deeply. We open. We become connected with the divine, as we always are. We just come to that conscious awareness that the divine is here now within us, as us. And today, as we explore the ideas of miracles, I want to invite you to keep an open mind and to pray for those who may not be mature enough to understand. It's not that those people are bad, it's just that those people don't understand yet. All right. Okay, good morning. Once again, today I want to talk a little bit about miracles. It's a miracle. How many of you, by a show of hands, have ever witnessed a miracle? Have you ever thought that maybe a miracle was something that was interesting and an exciting topic to think about? Well, many people are of the opinion that miracles are special. Others say miracles are rare phenomena that happen only when either the stars align in perfect order or when God intervenes in the perfect expression of nature to change the outcome of something or another. Still others think miracles are the result of answered prayer. It doesn't matter to me what, if any of these make sense to you. However, I just love the idea that that we can be here together and talk about this mystical subject and enjoy the journey. The Hubble telescope has given us information as we view this idea of creation, which I think qualifies as a miracle, that our galaxy, our universe, is over 13 billion years old. And now the Webb telescope tells us it could be 22 billion years old. These facts are just mind-boggling to me because I can't even think about numbers that are that big. So we take it back a step and think about what we have heard about miracles in our lives prior to this. And I think if any of you are like me, you'll know that probably the greatest miracle worker that we can think of was a guy named Jesus. And I know it's not always comfortable to talk about Jesus, but let's talk about this idea of creating miracles. Miracles were something that were rare at best, so much so that when they were created or when they were performed, people made special note of them so that they would remember. So I looked up the idea of Jesus and his miracles and found out there were 37 of them. And some of them can be explained, which I'll demonstrate to you in a minute, and others are kind of still a mystery. And so let's talk about that for a minute. Jesus was the king of miracles. There's no doubt about that. He performed more miracles than any other miracle worker, past or present. He could turn water into wine and heal the centurion's son. He drove out evil spirits and he healed all those who asked for a healing that he came across. But most of his miracles revolved around healing. He even healed Peter's mother-in-law. By all accounts, Peter was okay with that, and some regard that as a miracle in and of itself. He healed lepers and paralyzed folks and raised a couple of people from the dead. So, to sum it up, 30 of these miracles of Jesus revolved around healing of some sort or another, and 8 were classified as others. So, we're not going to go over every miracle for 37 of these miracles, but let's take a look at 1 or 2 of them. And the first one that I wanted to talk about this morning is the miracle at Cana. And many of you know this as when Jesus turned water into wine. Now, the story goes that Mary asked Jesus to fix a problem. There was no more drinkable wine at the feast. Maybe this meant that the wine that they did have to serve was not kosher. Because Jesus was a Jew and so were all the attendants at this particular wedding, this wine needed to become kosher or blessed by a rabbi, and Jesus was a rabbi. So maybe Jesus was providing this wine at his own wedding feast. This would have been appropriate because the groom was responsible for the wine in those days, and he came to provide the wine. And so they asked him, after he changed this water into wine, why did you save the best wine for last? Well, that question in and of itself suggests that the first and the second wine were also provided by Jesus. So maybe because rabbis were required to be married at that time, this indeed was the wedding of Jesus. And the water that was turned into wine may have been something as simple as undrinkable wine to drinkable wine, because it was blessed by the rabbi. So this is one way to explain away a miracle. This is one way to become very non-mystical about it and more practical about it. You see, Miracles are often labeled into different categories. And the first one is called an anomaly or an illusion. They can be called psychosomatic experiences, and yes, even miracles. Now, an anomaly is something that we don't understand and yet might be explained or understood with more information, more research. For example, two black dogs that have a yellow puppy is definitely an anomaly, but not a miracle. Bumblebees that can fly is an anomaly, but according to physics, bumblebees shouldn't be able to fly. But with more information and more research, we found out that the bumblebee's wings are made of something called resolin. And resolin has the ability to expand to 3 times its volume so that bumblebees, these little fat chubby bees, can actually fly because of the expansion of the resolin. Miracle, coincidence, anomaly, illusion, who knows? Now let's look into it, the idea of an illusion. Now, an illusion is something that good magicians or illusionists can get you to see things that aren't there. They can make big buildings and even mountains disappear. So right before your very eyes, these illusions can be explained by the illusionist, but not by the people that are in attendance or in the audience. It's a little sleight of hand, a little trickery. It's an illusion, but probably not a miracle. Now, as far as psychosomatic experiences go, I can tell you a bit about that. And anyone who grew up in the baby boomer generation might be able to tell you a little bit about that as well. For example, those of you who have ever had the experience of LSD or even some really good THC or maybe other letter drugs that you were able to experience in your lifetime as a younger person. Well, when I was a child, I was diagnosed with a psychosomatic disease. After years of testing and under a doctor's care, I was given the diagnosis that my condition was beyond the doctor's ability to heal me. This put me into the hospital at the famous Cleveland Clinic. And not only to find out that they were stumped and stymied by my malady, I was just a year into adulthood and doomed to facing my lifelong demon. That demon was fear. This is only to say that our minds are extremely powerful and creative, and yet the brain cannot tell the difference between fact and fiction. Think of a dream. When you're in the midst of a dream, you don't know whether it's real or not. All we know is that it feels real. It seems real. We may even wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, knowing that what we experienced was a dream is quite a relief. So, our minds are very, very powerful, and we don't always understand how they work or get to the place that they're at. But I will tell you that I prayed and I meditated, and I got very angry with the concept and the idea of God. I prayed for relief, and I prayed for a miracle. So what happened? What became of me? My rage, my anger overcame my fear. And I became defiant. And I yelled to the heavens and to the hells, give me your best shot. According to Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of the movement that we call Unity, said that in reality, miracles are events that take place as a result of the operation of a higher unknown law. All true action is governed by law, not just what happens, but nothing just happens. Everything is a result of what he referred to as cause and effect. Cause and effect. Amazing. So let's get back to miracles. A miracle, then, is a shift in perception. The perception shift is from fear to love. That's according to Marianne Williamson from A Course in Miracles. Fear and love. So, have you ever shifted your perspective from fear to love? If you have, then maybe, just maybe, you've experienced a miracle of your own making. Every time you see the cause behind the effect, you are seeing the change. In other words, if you see the change you want to be in the world, then next step is to move toward that change. I want to see more love in my world. Well, first, I must go to the fear and expel it. It comes with change, and then I get to be the change I want to see in the world. You see, we're not claiming to be all that God is, or even claiming to be God. What we are saying is that we are the offspring, the byproduct of God's expression on the earth. So, Unity says it this way: thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Jesus said it this way: I am the vine and you are the branches. Let me put that into a little different picture. A volcano erupts and spits and spews tons of lava rock all over the place. Now, you might pick up the lava rock and look at it and say, this isn't the volcano. But indeed, it came from the volcano directly. And therefore, it contains within the rock many of the same attributes, if not all of the same attributes as the volcano. Here's another way to look at it. An ocean has many waves, and each wave is not the entire ocean, but it is a representation of that ocean and carries the nature of that ocean within it. So if you'd like to be part of a miracle, well, if you do, all you have to do is change your mind. Start out slow and easy. Find something that you would like to change, because in all miracles, whether performed by Jesus or by you, has to do with change. And change is the nature of God. Things continue to change. If you don't believe me, try to never age a day. Well, that didn't work for me. All my hair went gray. I couldn't change it even if I wanted to. And by the way, I don't. I just live with it as it is. But if you want to change something in your life, let's say you want to change something about your own person. Think about how that could be taken in little steps. Now, one of the things that I like to do is think about my health and wholeness. So I don't worry about what happens to the color of my hair. I think about, am I healthy? Am I whole? And so I start that by thinking about, what foodstuffs shall I put into my body? Well, if I think about the entire lifetime of food, it gets to be too much. But if I take just a little bit, let's say one meal at a time, and I try to eat as healthy as I possibly can for that one meal, it breaks it down to pieces that I can handle. It breaks down to miracles on a tiny scale. Again, the law of cause and effect in action. And in order to do that, we have to be unafraid. Fear not. Be ye not afraid. So, be fearless. Be fearless in your walk along this path we call life. Jesus could not have performed any miracles if he was fearful. He had to know in the truth of himself that he was able to do these things, and even greater than these things are we asked to do. So, fear is something that we want to eliminate from our lives. Um, you know, fear sneaks around and it waits for your weak moments. It hopes that they'll arise so that it can attack you with a barrage of what ifs. What if I'm too old? What if I'm not good enough? What if they don't like me? What if I fail? What if no one's there to catch me if I fall? Well, you will never be younger than you are right now. And what child of God is not good enough? Your opinion of me is none of my business. Your failures are no more than a step closer to your successes. If no one is there to catch you when you fall, then you're flying. How's that for a miracle? So, how do I see this? I see that we can only experience miracles when we are out of the concept of fear. The kingdom of heaven is love, then maybe fear is the kingdom of hell. When you come to Unity of Lexington, you're asked to bring your fears so we can show you the love that it takes to dispel those fears. We don't need you to be perfect to be spiritual. We need you to be looking at your spirit to be spiritual. Some say fear has its place. You know, if you're near the edge of a cliff, shouldn't you be fearful? Wouldn't it be helpful to have a healthy fear? And I say, let's look deeper at that. Wouldn't it be a lot more advantageous for us to step away from the edge of the cliff? Your fear would dissipate almost immediately. Well, what if there was a gunman in the bank that you're in? Wouldn't you be afraid then? Well, you might be. But wouldn't it be wiser to figure out a way to get out rather than to huddle and shiver and shake in fear? You can't be fearful and perform miracles. Faith casts out fear. Love replaces it. So I would say that if you're interested in miracles, if you'd like to see some in your life, you have to look for them. Because they can be everywhere, all the time. Fear and hate and ignorance are the obstacles that we overcome in order to get to where we're going. And our hope is that your goal is to experience the divine, to experience this thing you call life. So let's take a moment and make a decision. Are miracles something that happen all the time? Are miracles that happen so rare that they have to be documented by the Guinness Book of World Records? Do they change your life? And I would say yes to all of those things. Fear is the absence of love. We take this idea to invite miracles into our lives by taking a moment to close your eyes. Allow the chair that you're sitting on to support you. And ask if there's anything in your life that is so fearful that love cannot dispel. And if you have come to the conclusion that love is more powerful than fear, allow that to wash over you. Love is more powerful than fear. And as you come to the realization of that strength that we find in love, give yourself permission to work miracles. Do you have the strength and the power, the wisdom, and the spiritual acumen to perform miracles? Has anything in your life been dispelled by love? Have you been able to overcome a fear? Have you been able to heal in some way? We cannot see sunrises with our eyes closed. We cannot watch the birth of a baby with our eyes closed. So today I ask you to open your eyes, the inner eyes and the outer eyes open. Giving yourself permission to find the love in everything. Because when you find the love in everything, you will find that miracles are very common. We're swimming in a sea of them. Which brings me to a closing set of lyrics that I'd like to read to you from a fellow named Peter Mayer. And I found these very inspirational. I hope you will too. In this song that he wrote, I'm going to read it as a poem, but if you'll listen, I think you'll find the underlying spiritual experience that came for him. He said, when I was a boy, each week on Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest, and he would read the holy word. He'd consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today, the only difference is everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two. Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, because everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. But now I have to hold my breath, like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down. But I walk it with a reverent air, because everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face and say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, because everything is holy now. I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us this morning and let you know that all of the prayer requests and the announcements will be delivered and handled through Unity of Lexington and into your email and Facebook page and how you connect with each other in that way. And I ask you to support each other in the miracles that you'd like to see in your life, and to support those who ask for your support to raise up the consciousness of our planet, to shed hate and fear and doubt, and to encourage others to find love and fearlessness in their loving. So until next week, I want to wish you a very great and happy Sunday, and we'll talk again soon. May the light of God surround you, protect you, and guide you. May only good come to you and good come from you. For you are a child of the expression of the universe, a loving God. You are the lava rock and the wave. Blessings to you.